In the clinic lobby, the front desk monitor froze, then flashed a print cue like it was confessing. I could read it from the check-in line. Jade Martin, anatomy scan copies. 2. Lena's badge swung as she leaned in, panicked, tapping the screen too hard. Marisol hissed, "Close it!" Control, but the cue stayed up, bright as a billboard. I felt my husband step behind me before I saw him. He smelled like aftershave and courthouse air conditioning. "You don't need to look at that," he murmured evade, and his hand reached for my wrist like I belonged on the list. The screen said, "Copies, 2, like a threat." I pulled my arm back and pretended to adjust my purse strap. My palm was damp from the cheap vinyl handle. I'd paid $8 to park in the garage, and my ticket was still warm in my pocket. I'd told myself the anatomy scan was a finish line. 8:20 appointment, 45 minutes, then straight to the law office by 10. My nausea didn't care about my calendar. Lena kept stabbing the keyboard like it owed her money. The printer behind the wall coughed once, then went quiet. Marisol's smile never changed, but her eyes narrowed at me. "Name?" she asked, already knowing it. "Jade Martin," I said, keeping my voice even. My husband's breath warmed the side of my neck. "Jade," he said softly, like I was a skittish dog. "Let's not do this here." "Do what?" Marisol slid a clipboard across the counter. The plastic cover squeaked. "Intake first," she said control, and tapped the signature line with one red nail. A red folder tab peeked out from under her elbow, the kind the office uses when something needs to stay contained. I signed, but my pen dragged halfway through my last name. The lobby TV played muted captions about weather. A toddler chewed on a sticker sheet. The whole room smelled like sanitizer and stale coffee. Lena finally got the screen to blink away. For a second, it went black. Then it flashed again, same cue, same line before she slammed it shut. Her cheeks were bright, like she'd been caught stealing. "System's been weird today," she said, not looking at me. "That's not my problem," Marisol snapped attack, then turned it into a smile. "Right this way, Miss Martin." My husband's hand hovered near my wrist again. Not touching, just close enough to remind me he could. I pulled my phone out and held it low, angled toward the counter. My thumb hit the camera. The click sound was off. I snapped one photo, then another, but the screen glare washed it out. The letters became a smear, except for the bold part I couldn't unsee. I slid the phone back into my purse without checking it. I checked the time twice anyway. 7:38 a.m. flashed his divorce was already filed. The buzz came through my purse like a trapped insect. I felt it against my hip. I told myself it was my boss asking where I was. I told myself it was a calendar reminder. When I looked, it was an email notification from the county e-file system. The subject line was short and clean, like a knife. Notice of filing. Under it, one line previewed in gray. My husband leaned closer. "Don't," he whispered control, and his voice sounded practiced. I turned the phone slightly away from him. My hand shook once, then steadied. I tapped the notification, but the clinic's Wi-Fi spun and spun. The little loading circle felt like someone laughing. Marisol lifted the clipboard again, blocking my view of the counter like a shield. "Ma'am," she said, louder now, for the room to hear. "We're ready for you." Ready for me to do what they wanted. Lena watched me like she wanted to apologize and didn't have permission. Her badge swung again, tapping her scrub top. I caught the name printed under her photo, Lena, and the way she kept rubbing her thumb over the clip, like she could erase the last 30 seconds. My husband's aftershave mixed with the citrus cleaner and made my stomach flip. He stood too close for a waiting room, close enough that the people behind us had to shift. "Jade," he said, still gentle, still tight. "We can talk after." "After what?" I asked, and my voice came out smaller. His eyes flicked to my purse, to my phone, to the red folder tab near Marisol's elbow. Then he smiled, just barely. "After you hear what the doctor has to say," he said evade like he already knew. Marisol opened the little gate and waved me through. The latch clicked behind me. I walked down the hallway with my purse pressed to my ribs, fingers wrapped around my phone through the fabric. The elevator doors reflected my face in dull metal. My lipstick was slightly off. My eyes looked too awake for the hour. I hit the button for the 4th floor, and the doors started to close. My phone finally loaded one line of the email preview. Petition filed 7:38 a.m. I told Marisol I'd left my insurance card in the car. It wasn't even a lie. I just never needed it this badly. She gave me a tight nod, the kind that meant, make it quick, and unlatched the little gate like I was being granted a privilege instead of basic air. My husband didn't follow me to the elevator. He stayed by the check-in desk, close enough to Lena that she shrank into her scrubs. When the doors slid shut, the mirror caught me in dull steel again, chin lifted, mouth set, eyes too bright. I looked like I was bracing for impact. I checked the time. Then I checked it again. 24 a.m. The garage smelled like hot concrete and old exhaust. My shoes clicked too loud. My stomach rolled with each step, that low, sour nausea that didn't care about my dignity. I dug my keys out and unlocked my car, hands clumsy, like my fingers had turned into mittens. The AC sputtered to life with a rattle. I leaned my forehead against the steering wheel, breathed through my mouth, and finally pulled my phone out. 2 notifications. Same sender. County e-file system. I tapped the first one and forced myself not to flinch at the subject line, Notice of Filing. The PDF took forever to load, a spinning circle, a second one, like the phone couldn't decide whether to save me or bury me. While it stalled, I opened my camera roll and found the photo I'd taken at the counter. It was garbage. All glare and motion blur, a smear of blue-white light. Most of the cue was unreadable, except for one clean, bold line my brain had already memorized. Copies. 2. That part was sharp enough to hurt. I zoomed in anyway, thumb and forefinger pinching the screen until the pixels broke apart. Under the blur, there was another line half cut off. A field label I couldn't fully read. Maybe requested by. Maybe something else. The letters swam. My eyes watered. I blinked hard and tried again. Nothing. Just one stubborn truth shining through the mess. Someone chose 2 copies. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text. From my husband. Don't make this messy. We can do this quietly. Quietly. Like filing for divorce the morning of my anatomy scan was the polite version. I stared at the text until the words stopped looking like English and started looking like a threat. Then the PDF finally loaded. The first page was a cover sheet with the county seal at the top and my name printed under Respondent like it was a label on a folder. Petitioner. Him. Filed. 7:38 a.m. I felt the number in my chest like a bruise. I scrolled down and there it was again in a neat little docket line. Petition for divorce filed 7:38 a.m. Anders. Under attorney for petitioner, a name sat in clean black type. Priya Patel. Not my husband's buddy from college. Not a guy from his gym. A real attorney with real letterhead. My throat tightened, and for a second I couldn't tell if I was going to cry or throw up. I clicked through pages like I was doing discovery at work. My brain went into paralegal mode, that cold, tidy place where panic becomes a checklist. Service method. Temporary orders requested. Hearing request pending. And then, like my husband had studied me, a line that hit right where I lived. Do not contact petitioner directly. He'd filed, lawyered up, and tried to cut off my access in one morning. My phone buzzed again. Another text. The clinic is stressful enough. Don't start a scene. I laughed. One dry sound, alone in my car. Start a scene. As if the scene hadn't started without me. I opened the county portal in my browser, logged in with muscle memory, and pulled the docket fresh. Same timestamp, same case number. No glitch, no misunderstanding. It was real enough to have a digital footprint. He timed it to the minute. My nausea surged. I reached for the crackers in the cup holder and ate 2 without tasting them. I needed something solid in my body, even if it was dry salt and denial. My phone slid to 12% battery. Of course. I plugged it into the frayed charger cord and watched the little lightning bolt appear, like a joke. The clinic lobby replayed in my head the frozen screen, Lena's panicked tapping, Marisol's hissed, "Close it," the printer chirping like a bird that didn't know it was betraying someone. 2 copies. I went back to the photo again, zooming until my eyes ached. There, behind the glare, was a block of text on the right side of the screen I hadn't noticed before. A column, a cue detail list. I tilted the phone, changed the brightness, held it up to the windshield to kill the glare, then held it flat again. The blurred column didn't resolve. But one thing did. A partial name, not full, not enough to swear in court. Just enough to make my skin go cold. Pre was visible at the edge of a smudged line, like the screen had almost told on itself. My phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail, heart pounding. Then it rang again, same number. I answered on the second ring, voice tight. Hello? A pause. Then a man's voice, careful. Jade, this is Dr. Shaw. My grip tightened around the phone so hard my knuckles hurt. Are you in your car? He asked, like he already knew the answer. I stared at the blurry photo, at the bold line that wouldn't fade. Yes, I said. His breath came through the speaker, slow and controlled. I need you to come back inside, he said, and I need you to do something before your husband does. End quote. Action without of 60 mind. Dr. Shaw met me just inside the glass doors, not in his white coat. He wore a navy sweater and the same careful face he used when he had to say the hard thing without making it worse. He didn't look at my husband. He looked at my purse. Keep your phone on you, he said. Do you have a screenshot of the queue? A blurry one. Good, he said. Like blurry was still something you could build a case on. Do not sign any release that isn't yours. If anyone asks, you're requesting your own records. Today, my husband appeared at the end of the lobby, hands in his pockets, posture loose like he owned the building. His eyes slid over Dr. Shaw's shoulder and landed on me. He smiled. Jade, he said, warm as syrup. There you are. Dr. Shaw stepped slightly to the side, blocking the clean line between us. It was small. It was everything. Marisol called my name too loud. Lena wouldn't meet my eyes when she led me down the hallway. Her badge swung and tapped the plastic clip again and again, like it couldn't stop confessing. In the elevator mirror, I watched my face do something I didn't authorize. My jaw clenched. My lips pressed into a straight line. My hand went to my purse and stayed there, fingers curled around my phone through the fabric. He filed at 7:38 and wanted my silence. The scan room was dim and cold. Lena pulled the paper sheet tight on the exam table like she could smooth out my life the same way. She asked me the usual questions, voice flat, eyes fixed on her screen. I answered with short words, yes, no, I don't know. My husband didn't come in. He waited outside, like a patient man waiting for his order number to be called. When Lena turned the monitor slightly, I saw movement and light. I felt a rush of something that didn't have a clean name. Hope, maybe, fear. A fierce, quiet love that showed up even when my marriage didn't. Lena swallowed and glanced at the door. You can get dressed, she said quickly. Dr. Shaw will talk to you. What about the results? I asked. Her fingers hesitated on the keyboard. He will, she said again, and that second will sounded like an order someone gave her. Dr. Shaw spoke to me in his office with the door half closed, like he was trying to be private without breaking policy. He didn't say anything dramatic. He didn't need to. There's no medical emergency, he said first. I want you to hear that. Acts present. My lungs unlocked a notch. However, he continued, your record was handled in a way that concerns me. I waited. He watched my face like he was measuring how much truth I could hold. There was an extra print action in your chart this morning, he said. That's why I called. I can't give you all the details without going through the right process, but I can tell you this. If you want a copy of your visit summary, request it yourself, in writing, today. And if I don't? I asked. His mouth tightened. Then someone else will try. I walked out of his office and found my husband leaning on the wall across from the nurse's station, like he'd been there the whole time. Marisol stood nearby with a red folder tab peeking out of her stack, eyes darting between us. My husband pushed off the wall and came toward me, slow, controlled. What did he say? He asked, gentle. Everything's fine, right? You filed for divorce, I said, because I needed to say the words out loud in a place that had witnesses. His expression didn't crack. He only sighed, like I was the problem. Jade, he said softly, you're spiraling. There it was. The label, the story. I saw the screen, I said. Copies, too. He blinked once, then let his mouth curve like he was indulging a child. That's just the system, he said. You don't understand how hospitals work. End quote. I stared at him. I've worked with filings and deadlines for years. I've watched people lie in clean fonts and calm tones. I wasn't unstable. I was being managed. At home, I spread the divorce packet across the kitchen table like evidence from a case I never agreed to take. The paper smelled like toner and courthouse air. My appointment card sat beside it, still in my wallet, the time printed clear, 8:20 a.m. My husband followed me in and set his keys down quietly, like he didn't want to startle me. "Let's be adults," he said. "This is the best option." "For who?" I asked. He leaned on the counter and crossed his arms. "For everyone," he said. "For the baby." The way he said baby made my stomach twist, like he could put a possessive on a person who wasn't even born yet. "Dr. Shah told me to request my records," I said. My husband's eyes flicked to my phone. "Just a flick." Then his face smoothed again. "You don't need to do that," he said. "You're looking for problems." I opened my purse and pulled out my phone. 12% battery, still. I hit the clinic number and asked for medical records. Hold music. A bright, chirpy piano loop that made me want to throw something. While I waited, I opened my camera roll again and zoomed in on my blurred lobby photo. The bold "Copies, 2" sat there like a stamp on my forehead. The partial line "pre" still haunted the edge of the glare. Someone picked 2. Someone wanted 2. The records line finally clicked. "Medical records. This is—" "My name is Jade Martin," I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. "I need the release log for my anatomy scan visit and any print activity associated with my chart for today." Silence. Then, "Ma'am, we can provide your visit summary through the patient portal." "I need the disclosure and print log," I repeated, slower. "And I'm requesting it in writing." A pause. Longer this time. "I'll have to transfer you," she said. My husband laughed under his breath, like my request was cute. "See?" he said. "You're doing too much." The transfer music started. My phone dipped to 11%. And then my inbox refreshed one new message sender, Priya Patel. Priya Patel's name sat in my inbox like a fingerprint. My husband leaned over my shoulder, just enough to see the sender line. He didn't snatch my phone. He didn't have to. He just breathed out a small, amused sound, like he'd predicted every move I'd make. "See?" he said. "We're handling it." "Handling what?" I asked. He shrugged, calm. "The transition, the paperwork. So you don't get overwhelmed." I didn't open Priya's email. Not yet. Instead, I stood up so fast the chair legs scraped. I grabbed my keys, my purse, my phone, and the crackers like I was packing for a storm. My husband watched me do it with that patient look like I was a problem he'd already solved. "I'm going back," I said. "To the clinic?" His eyebrows lifted. "Why?" "Because Dr. Shah told me to request my records today." He smiled again, thin. "He's not your lawyer." "No," I said, "but he's my doctor." He stepped into my path in the hallway, not blocking me fully, just close enough that I had to brush past him, shoulder to chest. "Jade," he murmured control. "Don't start something you can't finish." I slid by him anyway. My phone showed 9% battery. I checked the time. Then I checked it again. 7:59 a.m. The elevator mirror in the garage gave me the same dull reflection as the clinic's lipstick, still crooked, eyes wide, jaw set too hard. I fixed nothing. I didn't want to look polished. I wanted to look real. At the clinic, the lobby had filled up. A man in a work uniform leaned on the check-in counter. 2 women whispered over a stroller. The TV still played weather in captions. Everything ordinary, until it wasn't. Marisol looked up and saw me. Her smile snapped on like a mask. "Miss Martin," she said, loud enough for the line to hear. "You left already." "I forgot my insurance card," I said, holding up my wallet like proof. My husband drifted in behind me like he'd been in the parking lot the whole time, like coincidence was his favorite weapon. "I'm here with her," he told Marisol, warm and confident. "I'll handle it." "Handle it." Marisol's eyes flicked to Lena. Lena's shoulders rose toward her ears. Her badge swung and clacked against the clip. Marisol slid a new clipboard toward me. Different packet, thicker. A red folder tab stuck out under her elbow again, bright as a warning. "Just sign the release," she said, control, tapping a page that wasn't an intake form. "It's standard." I looked down. It wasn't standard. It wasn't for my appointment. It was broad. Full medical records. All providers. All dates. And the recipient line was blank, like anyone could fill it in later. My husband's fingers hovered near my wrist, that same almost touch. "It'll make things easier," he murmured evade like he was offering a gift. I kept my pen still. "Who asked for this?" Marisol's smile held. Her eyes hardened. "It's policy." "Policy doesn't need my husband standing here," I said. A woman behind me shifted, listening. Lena stared at the counter like it might swallow her. My husband sighed. Too loud. Jade, stop. You're making people uncomfortable. You filed for divorce at 7:38 a.m., I said, and the number landed in the lobby like a dropped tray. Marisol's cheeks tightened. Ma'am, don't, my husband hissed, voice low control, and this time his hand did close around my wrist. Not hard, firm, possessive. I looked at his fingers on my skin. Then I looked up so the room could see my face. His grip was the quiet part of the threat. I pulled free. Slow. Deliberate. I'm requesting my own visit summary, I said to Marisol, not to him, and an accounting of disclosures for my chart. Today. Marisol blinked, like I'd switched languages. We can give you portal access. I already have it, I said. I want the disclosure record. Lena made a small noise in her throat. A warning sound she couldn't form into words. Marisol's smile cracked for half a second. We don't do that at the front desk. Then bring me whoever does, I said. My husband stepped closer. This is why we can't. He stopped himself, swallowed it. Reset. This is stressful, he said, gentle again. T1, and you're not thinking clearly. I stared at him. I'm thinking clearly enough to know you want this signature. His eyes flicked down to the blank recipient line. That tiny twitch told me everything. Marisol leaned in and lowered her voice, but not enough. You can't accuse us of anything, she said attack, in the lobby. I'm not accusing, I said. I'm requesting. A door opened down the hall. Dr. Shaw appeared in the corridor, scanning the crowd like he was looking for someone lost. When his eyes hit mine, he didn't smile. He walked straight toward us. Jade, he said, calm and firm. Come with me. My husband pivoted instantly. Doctor, she's upset. I'm trying to keep things peaceful. Dr. Shaw didn't look at him. I'm speaking to my patient. Marisol's hand tightened on the red folder tab. Her knuckles whitened. Dr. Shaw held the office door for me. Inside, he didn't sit. He didn't offer water. He kept it procedural, like he was building a record with his tone. I can't discuss details in front of anyone, he said, eyes on my phone. But I can tell you where to go. Compliance, I said. His gaze sharpened. Privacy officer, he corrected. Ask for an accounting of disclosures. Use those words. Outside the office, I could still hear Marisol's voice in the corridor tight, defensive, saying, we can't discuss that here. And my husband's voice, lower, answering like he owned the ending. Then Dr. Shaw reached into a drawer and slid a single sheet across his desk. Just a header, just a date, just enough to prove there was a log. I looked down and saw one printed line I hadn't expected to see at all. And my husband knocked once, then opened the door without waiting. My husband stepped into Dr. Shaw's office like he belonged there. He didn't slam the door. He didn't raise his voice. He just let his hand rest on the frame, casual, like this was a negotiation table and not my medical life. Doctor, he said friendly, she's upset. Dr. Shaw didn't move. I'm not discussing my patient with you. I'm her husband. 8-7. You filed for divorce this morning, Dr. Shaw said flat. That landed differently than when I said it. It carried weight. It sounded like policy, not emotion. My husband blinked once. That doesn't change anything medically. It changes consent, Dr. Shaw replied. Marisol hovered behind him in the hallway, red folder tab visible at her hip. Lena stood a few feet back, eyes fixed on the floor, badge swinging like a metronome. Dr. Shaw turned to me. Jade, do you want him in this room? My throat was tight, but the answer came clean. No. My husband's smile held for half a second, then thinned. Jade, don't. Dr. Shaw lifted a hand. Not aggressive. Final. Sir, step out. My husband's jaw flexed. He looked past Dr. Shaw at the single sheet on the desk, the header with the date, the proof a log existed. His eyes flicked back to me, and for the first time, the calm slipped. Not panic. Annoyance. Like a plan had gained an extra variable. He backed out without arguing. That was the part that scared me most. When the door clicked shut, Dr. Shaw exhaled. Slow. I can't print your entire audit trail here, he said, but I can tell you where to request it and what words to use. Accounting of disclosures, I said. He nodded. And if they try to hand you a broad release, don't sign it. You can request your own visit summary without giving away your entire record. I was no. He wasn't protecting me from the truth, he was protecting the truth from them. He wrote a name on a sticky note. Privacy officer. Extension number. He slid it across the desk like it was a passport. "Go now," he said, "before they decide what story to tell." I walked out to the corridor, purse tight against my ribs, and didn't look at my husband. I didn't trust my face not to give him something. Marisol intercepted me near the records hallway. "Miss Martin," she said, "too sweet. We can set you up with the portal." "I already have the portal," I said. "I'm requesting an accounting of disclosures and print activity for today." Her smile twitched. "That isn't something we—" "Dr. Shaw told me to ask," I cut in. Lena flinched at his name. Marisol's eyes narrowed, then widened again, mask back on. "Right this way," she said, evading, and led me to a side window that looked more like a DMV than a hospital. The records department was fluorescent and quiet. A tiny speaker crackled above the counter. A laminated sign listed fees in bold. Per page, rush processing, certified copy. A woman behind the glass slid a form toward me. "Fill this out," she said, bored. "Photo ID." I filled it out with my paralegal handwriting, tight, careful letters. I circled the date. I wrote TOTA in the margin like it mattered. It did. My phone was at 6% battery. I checked the time. Then I checked it again. 8:37 a. The woman looked at my form, then at me. "What's the reason?" "Legal," I said, and my voice didn't shake. That woke her up a little. She disappeared into the back and came out with a thinner sheet than I wanted. Not the full audit trail, not the whole story, just a structured summary with columns and timestamps. Marisol had been right about one thing. They didn't hand out the good stuff easily. But it was still something. I paid the fee. The printer beside the window spit out a receipt with a number and a time. I stared at that time like it was a heartbeat. On the page they gave me, the words were clinical and dry. Chart access. Print action. Summary generated. One line stood out. A second print action. Same morning. Same appointment. The time on it was so close to my husband's filing time it made my skin prickle. The log didn't say mistake, it said sequence. "Is this the full accounting?" I asked. The woman's eyes slid sideways. "It's what we can provide today." End quote. Marisol's voice drifted in from behind me, low and firm control. "That's enough." I turned and saw her watching my hands, not my face. My husband was at the end of the hall, pretending to scroll his phone. Priya's email still sat unopened in my inbox like a dare. I didn't give him the satisfaction. I folded the page once and slid it into my purse, behind my phone, behind my wallet, behind anything that looked like normal life. In the elevator mirror on the way down, I didn't recognize my expression. Not sad, not scared, focused. I drove downtown to the courthouse with the AC blasting and crackers on my tongue. The clerk window line moved like syrup. When I finally reached the front, a man with tired eyes looked up. "Name?" he asked. "Jade Martin," I said. He typed with 2 fingers, slow. "Case is active," he said. "Filed at 7:38 a.m. "I need a certified copy of the docket line," I said. He sighed like I'd asked him to carry me. Then he stamped a page, slid it through the slot, and tapped the time with his pen. "Ken." His name badge said Ken. "People think e-file doesn't count," he muttered, "but the timestamp is the timestamp." I took the page like it was oxygen. Back in the courthouse elevator, I opened my purse and stacked everything: flat receipt, partial log, stamped docket line. I could feel a binder forming in my head. Tabs and dates, proof turned into order. My phone buzzed. An email, finally loaded. From Priya Patel. Subject line, "Cease and desist." And below it, one preview sentence that made my hands go cold. "You are hereby instructed to stop making requests for records not authorized by the patient." I opened Priya's email in the courthouse elevator because I couldn't stand not knowing anymore. The subject line sat there in all caps like a slap. "Cease and desist." Under it, the message was written in that polished, bloodless tone attorneys use when they want fear to do the heavy lifting. "You are hereby instructed to stop making requests for records not authorized by the patient." I read it twice. I was the patient. My thumb scrolled down and found the attachment. Authorization, to, release, PHI, PDF. I tapped it, and the file loaded fast, too fast, as if it had been waiting for me to catch up. Name at the top, Jade Martin. Not Martin. One letter off, like whoever typed it didn't know me well enough to spell me. The next line made my skin prickle. Recipient: Priya Patel, Esquire. The form claimed I'd authorized release for legal proceedings, dated 7:36 a.m. 2 minutes before the filing time Ken had stamped on my docket line. My signature was there at the bottom. Not mine. A shaky loop pretending to be my hand. Someone forged me before I even walked into the clinic. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. I stepped out into the lobby and realized my breathing had turned shallow, like I'd been underwater. Ken glanced up from behind the clerk window. "You okay?" I forced my voice into place. "Can I get one more certified copy?" He sighed, stamped another sheet, slid it over. "People come in here with feelings," he muttered. "Paper doesn't care." I almost laughed again, but it came out as air. Outside, downtown wind slapped my cheeks. I sat in my car with the AC blasting and the forged PDF still glowing on my screen. My phone was at 4% battery. I checked the time. Then I checked it again. 9:06 a.m. The sequence tightened in my head like a knot. Forged authorization at 7:36, divorce filed at 7:38, clinic queue showing copies. 2 minutes later, my husband hovering like a handler. I drove back to the hospital tower because I couldn't let that form become truth just because it existed. Inside, the elevator mirror caught my face again, tight mouth, eyes sharper now. As the doors started to close, someone slid in at the last second. Priya Patel. Not on a screen, not in a footer line. Real. She wore a cream blazer that looked expensive and effortless, and she didn't glance at me right away. She pressed the button for the 4th floor like we were strangers sharing air. Then she looked up and met my eyes in the mirror. Her smile was small, controlled. "Jade," she said, like she'd been expecting this moment all morning. My throat went dry. "Priya." She tilted her head, studying me the way people study something they plan to move. "I sent you an email," she said. "I saw it," I replied. Funny choice of wording. Her eyes flicked, quick, to my purse, to where my phone sat like a weapon. "You're upset," she said gently, as if she'd diagnosed me. "But you don't want to complicate your pregnancy with unnecessary conflict." Unnecessary. Like forging my name was a clerical error. The elevator hummed upward. The mirror showed us both, me in cheap black flats, her in heels that clicked with confidence. "I didn't sign that authorization," I said. Priya's smile didn't change. "I'm not sure what you think you saw." "I saw my last name misspelled," I said, "and I saw a signature that isn't mine." The first crack appeared barely visible at the edge of her eyes. "Hospitals make mistakes," she said. "Forms get uploaded incorrectly. It's Shakespeare-y." I stared at her reflection. "You mean someone uploaded a forged release?" Her mouth tightened. "Jade," she warned Control, "don't accuse professionals of crimes without evidence." I pulled the folded, stamped docket line from my purse and held it low. Not for her to read, but for myself to feel it. Time, sequence, proof. The elevator doors opened on 4. Priya stepped out first, as if she owned the floor. I followed, slower, keeping a safe distance. Marisol was in the corridor near the records hallway, red folder tab in hand like it was part of her uniform. Lena stood behind her, face pale, eyes darting. Marisol saw me and went still. Priya didn't stop walking. "We're here," she said to Marisol, like giving a command. Marisol's smile snapped on, too bright. "Miss Martin," she said, voice too loud for the hallway. "We already provided what we can." "Not the full audit trail," I said. "And not permission for you to print my record twice." App sighed. "This is no intros of the President or Zavelity." Lena flinched at the word twice. Marisol's hand tightened on the red folder tab. I realized then what it really was, what it meant in this building. Not organization, containment. Priya stepped between us like she'd rehearsed it. "Jade," she said softly, "this isn't the place." "It's exactly the place," I replied. "You tried to make my medical record a lever." Marisol's eyes flashed. "We follow policy," she snapped attack, then smoothed her voice again. "You're misunderstanding. When you stayed." I pulled my phone out, brightness all the way up, and held the forged PDF at chest height. "Explain the misspelled name." Priya's gaze flicked to it, quick as a blade, then away. "You're spiraling," she said again, calm as a lullaby. "This is why we suggested handling things quietly." That word quietly hit me like my husband's hand on my wrist. I turned and walked straight to Dr. Shah's office without asking permission. He opened the door before I knocked, like he'd been listening for my footsteps. I shoved my phone toward him. "Did you know they had this?" He scanned the PDF once, jaw tightening. He didn't panic. He didn't dramatize it. He went very still. "I saw an authorization uploaded," he admitted quietly. "I didn't see the signature up close." "So you warned me," I said. He nodded once. "I warned you because I saw the timing, and because I saw a second print action." Enter press. Behind me, voices rose in the corridor. Marisol's defensive edge, Priya's controlled calm. Dr. Shah lowered his voice. "Jade, if you want this corrected, you need one thing," he said. "Proof of intent, not just the outcome." "I have a sequence," I said. "I have timestamps." He hesitated, then opened a drawer and slid a printed stack across his desk 3 pages, stapled, header bold at the top. "Release, Martin scanned summary." I stared at the subject line like it was a doorway. Under it, an email chain ran down the page with timestamps, stacked tight together. Marisol's name, then Priya's, then Marisol again, each message clipped and clinical. And in the middle of the thread, one sentence sat there like a match in dry grass. "Please print 2 copies, 1 for court packet." I didn't hear my own voice when it came out. "Don't touch my records again." And Priya's heels clicked closer outside the door. Priya didn't step into Dr. Shah's office this time. She hovered in the doorway like a lawyer-shaped shadow, heels planted, chin lifted, voice pitched low enough to sound reasonable if anyone walked by. "Doctor," she said, "you're exposing your clinic to liability." Dr. Shah didn't rise to it. He didn't argue. He simply turned his monitor slightly away from the door and looked at me instead. "Jade," he said calm, "take a photo of the subject line and the sentence you need, then put the papers away." Priya's eyes narrowed. "That is confidential correspondence." "It's my medical record being discussed," I said, and my voice surprised me with how flat it was. Her smile returned, thin as dental floss. "Your husband is trying to resolve this privately." "My husband filed for divorce at 7:38 a.m., I said. "Privately isn't what he chose." Priya's gaze flicked to the stapled pages on the desk. That was the tell. Not anger, not fear. Calculation. "Jade," she said softly, "control. If you keep escalating, we'll seek temporary orders." "About what?" I asked. Her eyes didn't blink. "Your instability." The word landed in my chest like a thumb pressing down. Dr. Shah's tone didn't change. "Miss Patel, step out." Priya held the doorway 1 heartbeat longer, then turned away like she'd decided this wasn't the fight she wanted in this room. Her heels clicked down the corridor. Marisol's voice met hers in a tight whisper, then vanished. "Doctor," Shah lowered his voice. "Go to the privacy officer now," he said. "Ask for an accounting of disclosures and an access audit." "I already got a partial log," I told him. He nodded. "Good. Keep it. Keep every receipt, and if anyone tries to make you sign something broad, don't." I slid the printed email chain into my purse like it was contraband. My hands were steady, but my stomach wasn't. I tasted sanitizer and saltines. In the elevator mirror, my face looked older than it had this morning. I wasn't panicking anymore. I was filing. I didn't go back through the lobby. I took the side hallway where employees cut through with badge lanyards swinging. The privacy office sign was small, almost shy, like privacy was an afterthought. Inside, a woman in a gray cardigan glanced up from her computer. Her nameplate said Gail. "Can I help you?" she asked. I placed my ID on the counter and kept my purse strapped across my body. "I'm requesting an accounting of disclosures and a full access audit for my chart for today," I said. "Specifically, print actions." Her expression changed, just a tightening around the mouth. Not shock, recognition. "Have you spoken to medical records?" she asked. "Yes," I said, and I was handed a broad release at the front desk with the recipient line blank. Gail's fingers paused over her keyboard. "Who offered it?" "Marisol," I said, with my husband standing there, its expression and Astoria's. Gail's eyes lifted. "Your husband?" "He filed for divorce this morning," I added, because it mattered in every room. Gail exhaled through her nose, then typed. "We can provide an accounting," she said. "The full audit trail takes time." "I'm not asking for time," I replied. "I'm asking for preservation." That got her attention. "Preservation," she repeated. "I need you to preserve the print log, access log, and any uploaded authorizations," I said, including one with my name misspelled. "Gail's eyebrows lifted a fraction. Misspelled how? Martin, I said. One letter off. She typed faster. Okay, she said, voice more clipped now. I'm going to open an internal ticket. You'll get a receipt number. A printer to her right whirred once and spit out a small sheet. Receipt number, date, time. I stared at the time like it was proof of my own sanity. My phone was down to 2% battery. I checked the time. Then I checked it again. 9:28 a.m. Outside the privacy office, I leaned against the wall and forced myself to breathe through the nausea. Then I did the next thing my husband didn't expect. I went into my Google timeline. We shared a family account for the tablet at home, the one he'd set up because he liked everything synced. I'd never cared. Until now. A map loaded. Red pins, blue lines, little timestamp dots like breadcrumbs. I scrolled back to this morning. 7:12 a.m. Our house. 7:26 a.m. Downtown. 7:23 a.m. Hospital Tower Garage. My throat went tight. I pinched the screen, zoomed in, and watched the dot sit exactly where I'd parked at 8:05. He'd been there before me. The nausea shifted into something sharper. I opened my call log. Dr. Shaw's call time, the unknown number, the county e-file notification time. I started writing them down on the back of the privacy receipt with my pen. Time, sequence, pattern. My phone flashed a low battery warning and died. Perfect. I went to the hospital security desk and asked, calmly, for visitor badge scan logs. The guard looked me over, then shook his head. We don't release those to the public, he said. I'm not the public, I replied. I'm the patient who was targeted. He blinked. Targeted how? I'm requesting preservation, I said again. Not release, preservation. He hesitated, then slid a business card toward me. Email the supervisor, he said. Include your case number if there is one. I'm sorry to season the wicks to an hate. I tucked the card behind the privacy receipt, already building the binder in my head tabs labeled 736, 738, 733. When I finally found an outlet and powered my phone back on, a text came through immediately. From my husband. You're embarrassing yourself. Come home. Now. I didn't answer. Another notification popped up, this time from an unknown number, a photo attachment. My stomach dropped before it even loaded. The sender name displayed as a single word, Lena. And when the image opened, it was a screenshot of a badge scan list cropped tight, shaky, showing one entry at the top with my husband's last name and a time that made my hands go cold. The screenshot from Lena loaded in jagged blocks, like her hands had been shaking when she took it. A white list, black text, one column that said visitor badge scans, another that said time. Most of it was cropped too tight to be useful, like she'd been terrified of what the camera might catch. But the top entry was clear. My husband's last name, and a time, 7:33 a.m. The same time my Google timeline pin had dropped him in the hospital tower garage. My skin went cold anyway. Because the list wasn't from my account. It wasn't from my phone. It was a piece of the building telling on him. I stared at it until my eyes ached. Then I saved it to a folder titled Nothing at All, just a single period, because I didn't want it visible on my home screen. My husband's texts stacked up while I sat in the parked car across from the courthouse, phone charging off the cigarette lighter like it was on life support. Come home. Now. Stop making this worse. You're going to ruin everything. Ruin what? His plan? I didn't answer. I opened my notes app and started a list in tight, clean bullets. 7:12, home. 7:26 downtown. 7:33 hospital garage, timeline plus badge scan. 7:36, forged release, timestamp. 7:38, divorce filing. 8, XX clinic queue. Copies, 2. Then I wrote a line that made my stomach tighten. Not a mistake, a schedule. I checked the time. Then I checked it again. 3:04 and 40 p.m. The sun was low enough to throw long shadows across the parking lot. The air smelled like hot asphalt and exhaust. People walked in and out of the courthouse with paper in their hands and tired faces, like conflict was just another weekday chore. I had turned into one of them without meaning to. A small buzz hit my phone. Lena again. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be doing this. But they told me to stay quiet. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard. I wanted to tell her it wasn't her fault. I wanted to ask what she'd seen. I wanted to scream. Instead, I typed one sentence and deleted it twice before sending. Don't risk your job. Just tell the truth if asked. 3 dots appeared, then vanished. No reply. My nausea rolled up again, hot and sour, and I pressed my palm flat against my lower belly through my shirt until it eased. My husband had been using that word baby like it was leverage. But it was also my anchor. I pulled the privacy receipt out of my purse, the one Gail printed, and flipped it over. I used the blank space like a legal pad. Compliance, privacy ticket number. Preserve, access log plus print log plus uploaded authorizations. Note, forged signature plus misspelled name. Witnesses, Dr. Shaw, Lena, Possel. The pen dug into the paper. My phone rang. Unknown number. I stared at it. The last unknown number had been a warning from Dr. Shaw. This one could be another trap. I answered anyway. Hello? A man's voice, clipped and official. This is hospital security. You requested preservation. My heart thudded once. Heavy. Yes, I said. I did. We can't send you badge scans, he said, but we can confirm whether a scan exists for a specific date and time. Over email, if you provide the legal case number. I looked at the stamped docket line on my passenger seat, Ken's ink still crisp. I have a case number. Good, he said. Email it. And one more thing. Ask to doing. What? There's an internal record of visitor badge assignment, he said carefully, like he was choosing every word. It may show who requested access. My throat tightened. Who requested access to me? Silence then. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a record. Send the confirmation, I said. He gave me an email address and hung up. I opened my inbox to draft the message, but Priya's earlier email sat at the top like it had crawled there on purpose. Cease and desist. I forwarded it to myself at a second address, one my husband didn't know existed, then attached the forged authorization PDF and added 3 words to the subject line. Preservation request urgent. My finger hovered over send. Then I thought of the clinic lobby screen and the way Marisol had blocked me with a clipboard like I was a problem to be covered, not a patient to be cared for. I hit send anyway. At home, I didn't go inside right away. I sat in the car in the driveway, engine off, and practiced my face in the rearview mirror the way I used to practice testimony prep for clients at work. Neutral, calm, no tremble in the mouth, no widening of the eyes. I whispered the sentence I would not let anyone twist. My records were accessed without my consent. It's too David. When I finally walked in, my husband was in the kitchen with his sleeves rolled up and a glass of water on the counter, acting like he'd been waiting with concern instead of control. You're back, he said, voice soft, like he was relieved. Thank God. I didn't take off my shoes. I didn't put my purse down. I spoke to the privacy officer, I said. His smile faltered for half a beat. Why would you do that? I pulled out my phone and opened Lena's screenshot. I didn't shove it in his face. I just held it where he could see the time. 2:33 He leaned in instinctively, then caught himself and straightened. That doesn't prove anything, he said quickly, evade too quick. It proves you were there before me, I replied. Before my appointment. Before my body was even on the table. His jaw tightened. You're reading into... And it proves, I added, that someone printed my scan summary twice, on purpose. His eyes flicked to my purse again. To the folded papers inside, to the places he couldn't reach without touching me. For the first time all day, his voice lost its gentleness. Give me your phone, he said control like it was a reasonable request. I stared at him, and behind his shoulder, on the kitchen counter, I saw something I hadn't left there this morning. A fresh manila envelope with a courthouse return address, already opened. The manila envelope was already slid open, like someone had taken their time with it. My husband kept his hands on the counter, palms down, acting like he'd found it by accident. The courthouse return address sat in the top left corner, neat and official. See? He said softly. This is why we needed counsel. I didn't touch it at first. I just read what I could from where I stood. Temporary orders hearing today. My stomach turned, not from nausea this time, from recognition. He hadn't just filed at 7:38. He'd scheduled my next move too. I picked up the first page with 2 fingers, like it might stain me. The date was today. The time was in 2 hours. The courtroom number was typed cleanly, like urgency was a feature. Requested relief. temporary orders, communication restrictions, medical decision-making, and my throat-tightened language about mental instability impacting safety. There it was again, the story. My husband watched my eyes track the lines and gave a small, satisfied exhale. "It's standard," he said evading as if standard things didn't ruin lives. He didn't want custody, he wanted silence. "I'm not giving you my phone," I said, because he'd asked like it was a door code. "You're going to walk into court with screenshots?" His voice sharpened. "Jade, don't be naive." "I'm going to walk into court with evidence," I replied. His jaw flexed. "You're going to embarrass yourself." "I'm going to correct the record," I said, and I hated how calm my voice sounded. It made him look at me differently, like he'd miscalculated. Priya's name was on the notice. Of course it was. I went to the dining table and laid everything out flat. Ken's stamped docket line, the partial print log, the privacy ticket receipt, Lena's shaky screenshot, the forged authorization PDF on my phone, and the printed email chain Dr. Shah had handed me with the subject line I'd photographed twice. I checked the time. Then I checked it again. 1:24 p.m. I slid the papers into a cheap accordion folder I'd used for work, once tabs already labeled in faded ink. I relabeled them anyway, with a black marker. Tidiansenshasemfen, Tidiansenshalofan, Tidiansenshabafen. My husband watched like he was watching me build a weapon. "You're making this worse," he said, control, and stepped closer. I didn't flinch. "You made it worse at 7:36. That landed. His eyes narrowed, but he didn't ask how I knew. We drove separately downtown. He wanted me in his car. He didn't say it. He didn't need to. His control lived in suggestion and consequence. The courthouse smelled like stale carpet and metal detectors. A line of people moved through security with folders and tired faces, like pain had a dress code. The hallway outside the family courtrooms was crowded. Bench seating, soft murmurs, a toddler asleep on someone's shoulder. A docket screen glowed with names and times, like the building was listing who got to suffer next. I saw Ken at the clerk window and walked straight to him. His eyes flicked to my folder. "You again," he muttered. "Emergency hearing," I said. "Temporary orders." He sucked air through his teeth, then glanced at the docket. "Courtroom 4B, he said. "They're running 10 minutes behind." I slid my stamped docket line toward him through the slot. "Can you certify one more copy?" I asked, with the filing time. Ken looked at me for a beat, then at the crowd behind me, like he didn't want to be someone's hero today. But he stamped it anyway. "Paper doesn't care," he said again, softer. "People do." I tucked the new copy into my folder and turned and almost ran into Priya. Cream blazer, perfect hair, a face trained to look concerned in public. "Jade," she said, voice gentle enough for the hallway to hear, "I hope you're feeling stable today." My cheeks went hot, but I didn't react. That was the point of saying it here. My husband stood behind her, a half step back, letting Priya be the blade and himself be the hand. Priya's eyes dropped to my folder. "You've been making unauthorized requests," she said, still calm. "It's not a good look." "I'm the patient," I said. She smiled. "That's not what the authorization shows." I pulled my phone out and held it low, screen facing me. I didn't show her anything yet. I didn't give her a performance. Paper can't gaslight, but people can. The courtroom door opened, and a bailiff called for the next case. People stood, shifted, gathered their lives into folders. I saw Marisol across the hall for the first time, half hidden near a doorway, red folder tab in her hand like it was attached to her wrist. She avoided my eyes. Lena wasn't there. But then, at the far end of the corridor, I saw Dr. Shah walking toward us. No white coat, just that navy sweater and a thin file in his hand. Priya's posture changed, just slightly, like a chess player seeing a piece move where it shouldn't. Dr. Shah stopped beside me. "Jade," he said quietly, "I brought what I'm allowed to bring." He slid a single page into my folder letterhead at the top, date and time stamped, and one sentence highlighted with a clean yellow line. "Please print 2 copies. One for court packet." Priya's smile tightened so hard it almost disappeared. The bailiff looked up from the doorway. "Martin v. Martin," he called. "Both parties, step inside." "That's Stansley." And as I walked past Priya into the courtroom, she leaned close and whispered one sentence I felt more than heard. "Let's see who the judge believes." The courtroom air felt stale, like old carpet and old promises. I sat at the petitioner's table because Priya guided my husband there, like labels mattered more than bodies. I chose the other table without asking permission. My accordion folder sat on my lap, heavier than paper should feel. The judge came in fast, robe swaying once, eyes already tired. "Martin v. Martin," the bailiff announced. Priya stood first. "Your Honor, we're here on temporary orders. My client is concerned for fetal safety and—" "Stop," the judge said. One palm lifted. "We're not doing monologues." My husband's knee bounced under the table. He kept his face calm anyway. I checked the time. Then I checked it again. Priya slid a packet forward. "We have an authorization to release protected health information," she said, voice smooth, "and we have concerns about Miss Martin's escalating behavior at the hospital." I watched her say authorization like it was holy. The judge looked at me. "Miss Martin, do you have counsel?" "No," I said. "Not today." Priya's mouth twitched, almost a smile. The judge nodded once. "Then speak plainly. What's the dispute?" "My husband filed for divorce at 7:38 a.m., I said. "The morning of my anatomy scan." Priya started. "Your Honor." The judge cut her off again. "Let her finish." I placed Ken's certified docket line on the table and slid it forward. The stamp made a soft, final sound against wood. "Filing time," I said. "Certified." Priya's eyes flicked to the stamp, then away. Then I slid my partial log, then the privacy ticket receipt, then Lena's screenshot, printed from my office printer at home, so it wasn't just a phone. "Doctor." Shah stood behind me in the witness area, hands folded, face careful. My husband finally spoke. "She's spiraling," he said, gentle, almost sad. "She's making scenes at the clinic. She's not stable." He tried to turn my fear into a diagnosis. The judge's eyes stayed on me. "Miss Martin?" I kept my voice low. "I requested my own records." They tried to hand me a broad release with the recipient line blank, while my husband stood at the desk. Priya leaned forward. "That's a serious accusation." "It was action with Pangers." "It's a request for an audit," I corrected, "and I have proof someone asked for 2 copies." I slid the highlighted page from Dr. Shah's file forward. The yellow line glowed like a warning sign. The judge read it, face unchanged, then looked up at Priya. "Please print 2 copies, 1 for court packet," she read aloud. Silence spread in the room. Priya recovered fast. "Your Honor, that's clinic correspondence. It may be incomplete." "Is it true?" the judge asked. Priya didn't answer the question. "My client has a right to prepare for litigation." "With forged paperwork?" I asked before I could stop myself. Priya's head turned slowly toward me. "Objection," she said, sweet. "Speculation." The judge's gaze sharpened. "What do you mean, forged?" I opened my phone and held it toward the bench, screen bright. "A release form uploaded this morning," I said. "My last name is misspelled. And that signature isn't mine." End quote. The judge leaned back slightly, like she'd felt the shift too. My husband's voice went tight. "She's making this up." "I'm not," I said. "The PDF is time-stamped 7:36 a.m. Priya's pen stopped moving. "Doctor," the judge said, looking at Dr. Shah, "can you speak to process?" Dr. Shah stepped forward. "Your Honor, I can't disclose medical details," he said. "But I can confirm this. 2 print actions occurred on the patient's chart this morning. 2 copies isn't standard." "That over the tapted." Priya lifted her chin. "Hospitals have glitches." Dr. Shah didn't blink. "A print action isn't a glitch, it's a user action." The judge turned back to me. "You mentioned a badge scan." My throat tightened. This was the piece I didn't want to say out loud, because saying it made it real in a public room. I slid Lena's screenshot forward. "My husband's badge scan time," I said. 7:33 a.m. Hospital Tower Garage. Priya's hand reached for it. I pulled it back an inch. "It's preservation," I said. "Security confirmed they can verify scans." The judge looked at Priya. "Did your client access the hospital that morning?" My husband's jaw flexed. "I was there to support my wife." "At 7:33, I said, before my appointment, before I arrived." Priya cut in quickly. "He parked early." The judge's eyes didn't soften. "Then why is there a release time-stamped 7:36 with an incorrect name sent to your office?" Priya held her posture, but her voice shifted by a fraction. "Your Honor, we will withdraw that exhibit." The judge nodded once, like she'd been waiting for the admission. Noted. The room stopped leaning toward them. The judge tapped her pen. "Here's what I'm doing." she said. "Temporary orders will not include any finding of mental instability based on this record." My husband went still. "And," she continued, "I'm ordering that any medical record-related claims filed today be corrected. Miss Patel, you will file a written retraction of the authorization you submitted, and you will preserve all communications with the clinic." Priya's lips pressed into a thin line. "Understood." The judge looked at me. "Miss Martin, you'll receive a copy of today's minute order. Do you understand?" "Yes," I said, and my voice finally shook just once. She nodded toward the bailiff. "Additionally, I'm referring this record handling issue to the appropriate privacy office for review." Priya's face didn't change, but her eyes did. Then the judge looked straight at her and asked, very quietly, "Miss Patel, who told the clinic to print a copy for court before there was even a hearing notice?" The judge's question hung in the air like dust in sunlight. Priya didn't answer it. She didn't have to nod out loud. Her jaw tightened once, and she flipped her legal pad shut with the kind of care people use when they're trying not to show their hands. "We'll file the retraction today," she said, voice flat. My husband didn't look at me on the way out. He walked half a step behind Priya, like he'd finally remembered where his power came from. In the courthouse hallway, the public benches buzzed with the soft static of other people's emergencies, but I felt eyes on my folder, as if it had become a flare. Ken was back at the clerk window, chewing the inside of his cheek. "Minute order?" I asked. He slid a stamped page through the slot without making me beg. The stamp thunked, dull, and final. I read the lines twice, then once more, because my brain still didn't trust good news. "No finding of instability. Medical record claims corrected. Retraction required. Preservation ordered." I checked the time. Then I checked it again. 2:03 p.m. In the elevator mirror, my face looked the same, but my shoulders didn't. They dropped a fraction, like my body had been carrying a weight it could finally set down for one breath. Paper didn't save me, sequence did. Outside, Priya stopped near the courthouse steps and turned, the cream blazer catching the light like a shield. "Jade," she said, loud enough for the sidewalk, "you'll receive our filing." I didn't respond. I watched her walk away, heels clicking a clean rhythm, then watched my husband follow without looking back. When I got to my car, my phone had 12 missed calls from him and one voicemail that started with my name and ended with a threat he tried to disguise as concern. I deleted it. Then I did the only thing that felt like control. I drove back to the hospital tower, not to plead, but to close the loop. Gail was still in the privacy office, cardigan sleeves pushed up, a stack of folders beside her keyboard. She didn't look surprised to see me. She looked tired. "I heard," she said quietly. "Court asked for preservation." I placed the minute order on her counter. "I need a confirmation that the ticket is active," I said, "and I need my accounting of disclosures when it's ready." "When with prize." She nodded once, typed, then turned her monitor slightly so I could see a line that mattered. Ticket status. Open hold applied. A printer whirred and spit out a fresh slip. Ticket number, date, time. Gail circled the number with a pen. "This is your receipt," she said. "Keep it." I stared at the ink circle like it was a fence being built. "Was there an uploaded authorization?" I asked. Gail's mouth tightened. "There was a document uploaded," she said carefully. "I'm not going to characterize it until compliance does. But it's preserved." "And the print log?" "Preserved," she repeated. "And the access log." I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. In the hallway outside, I saw Marisol in profile, red folder tab in hand, moving fast like she had somewhere safer to be. The red tab caught my eye the way it always did now, not as organization, but as a warning label. I didn't chase her. I didn't need to. "Doctor," Shaw called me before I reached the garage. "Jade," he said, voice low. "I documented my concerns in your chart note. Process only, no details." "Thank you," I managed. "And," he added, "if anyone contacts you about your care, you tell them everything goes through your patient portal, not through your husband." The word husband sounded wrong now, like a title he'd already lost. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table with my folder open and the minute order beside a glass of water I didn't drink. My phone pinged. A new court filing notification. I opened it slowly, like I was touching something hot. "Retraction of authorization exhibit," it read, filed under Priya's name. One clean paragraph. "Submitted in error. Withdrawn. Not relied upon." No apology. no confession, just enough paper to unhook the lie from the record. She didn't say sorry. She said, "Withdrawn. Apps Life Bread." I screenshotted it anyway and saved it to my hidden folder with Lena's badge scan image. My husband texted twice. "We can still do this peacefully. Don't make me fight you." I stared at the words until they felt small. Then I turned the phone face down and didn't answer. 2 days later, an email arrived from the hospital system, short, formal, carefully worded. It acknowledged my request for an accounting of disclosures and confirmed a review is underway. Attached was a reference number that matched Gail's circled ticket. In the corner of my mind, I pictured the clinic printer, that chirp that had started all of this, and the way the lobby screen had flashed like a confession. Somewhere inside that building, the truth had a paper trail now. And then the clinic portal sent me a new appointment notification for a follow-up visit, same tower, same 4th floor, same lobby next month. A month later, the hospital tower looked the same from the garage, gray concrete, bright fluorescent strips, the same slow elevator that always smelled faintly like disinfectant and someone else's fear. But I wasn't the same person walking in. I parked on a higher level this time, closer to the cameras, and I took a photo of my parking spot number before I even locked the doors. Habit now. Not panic. Strategy. In the elevator mirror, my lipstick was straight. My eyes were steady. I didn't rehearse my face anymore. The lobby was busy. The same carousel of lives, strollers, clipboards, half-drunk coffees. The TV still played weather captions no one listened to. A toddler still chewed on something they shouldn't. And behind the front desk, the monitor was different. Not newer, not nicer. Just angled away from the public line. Marisol wasn't there. A younger receptionist smiled at me like she didn't know my name carried a case number. "Good morning," she said. "Name?" "Jade Martin," I answered. She typed, nodded, and slid a clipboard toward me. "Intake only. No broad release. No blank recipient line. No red folder tab tucked like a warning under anyone's elbow." Lena passed behind her, eyes flicking up for half a second. She didn't smile. She didn't apologize. She just gave me the smallest nod that said, "I remember." I nodded back. We walked down the hall, and I didn't feel my husband anywhere near me. No aftershave. No courthouse air conditioning. No hand hovering near my wrist like I was property. The scan room was cold again. The paper on the exam table crinkled under my legs. Lena kept her voice quiet and professional, but her hands didn't shake this time. She explained each step the way she should have. The first day, no rushing, no hiding. When it was done, she printed my visit summary. The printer chirped once. One clean page slid out. No second cough. No second chirp. No second copy. I watched the paper like it might surprise me. It didn't. I took it and folded it once, exactly down the middle, and put it into a plain envelope I'd brought with me, an empty one, unmarked, the kind you'd use for something ordinary. In the hallway, outside the exam rooms, a framed notice had been added to the wall beside a stack of pamphlets. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't an apology. It was a policy update in clinical language. Access to patient records is monitored. Unauthorized disclosure is prohibited. Patients may request an accounting of disclosures. The words looked harmless to anyone else. To me, they looked like a boundary in ink. In the elevator mirror on the way down, I held the envelope against my ribs and let myself breathe. Not relief like a miracle, relief like a door finally closing. My phone stayed in my purse. I didn't refresh the docket. I didn't hunt for new notifications. I didn't check the time twice. Once was enough. At home, I put the envelope into the glove box of my car, behind the empty, just-in-case envelope I'd kept since the hearing. I didn't like needing it, but I liked knowing it was mine. That night, the dryer thumped in the laundry room, steady and boring. I folded small clothes on the couch with the TV on low, and every so often my hand drifted to my belly without thinking. A new email came in from the court portal, routine scheduling, nothing urgent. I didn't open it right away. I let it sit. Because for the first time since that morning in the lobby, I wasn't living on their timeline. I was living on mine. And when I finally turned out the lights, I realized something simple and sharp. He thought 2 copies would trap me, but the extra copy was what set me free.